Now, in 1992, a man formed a Lotto syndicate with one simple plan: to guarantee a rollover Lotto jackpot win of £1.7 million in old money.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Sounds like a movie. New documentary beat the Lotto charts this true story, and we're joined by filmmaker Ross Whitaker alongside the syndicate's organiser Stefan Klinewicz, who is in Youghal this morning. Good morning, Stefan. Good morning, Ross. It's lovely to have you both here. But first, let's take a look at Beat the Lotto.
And we have the man who is the author of this book, which is called Win the Lotto. How many times did you win the jackpot?
Well, we haven't won the jackpot yet.
Have you won anything yet?
No. Let's just say down in Cork, everything's possible. And, of course, the rest is history.
What could you make of Stefan?
He's once off. There'll never be another one like him. He had all these systems. They never worked, but he was a good man at selling them.
When I calculated the number of combinations, I felt this was an opportunity to beat the lottery.
It was a grim time in Ireland.
Stefan mentioned to me that he had this great plan to buy all the tickets in the Lotto. This seemed to me manna from heaven.
I will put together a group of people and we'll do this.
I thought, jizz, I'll never come out of this one alive.
So dramatic.
It's so good. It's so good. Good morning. It's lovely to have you both here. Stefan, you were, every time I watch Reading in the Years, there you are in 1992. It's about what's going on with the Lotto. You were front page news. So can you tell us of your plan and how you did it?
The plan itself was based on what I discovered was a weakness in the National Lottery system at the time, purely because they offered a £100, plus pounds at the time, of course, bonus for every player that matched 4 numbers. But they only had this offer 3 times a year, usually bank holiday weekends, that kind of thing. So I calculated very simply that by purchasing all the numbers, that there would be 6,500 winning combinations guaranteed with 4 numbers. Now that equated £650,000. So on top of that, with the smaller prizes, it would have brought it over 700,000 to 750,000, and that's excluding a jackpot prize. So by purchasing all the numbers, it effectively, the risk was minimal, a very small risk involved, and it needed realistically a rollover jackpot in combination with the special offer of £100 for every 4-number prize. So bank holiday weekend came, or was coming. Wednesday night's jackpot, we needed that to be rolled over. Here we were at 9 o'clock at night on Wednesday evening to see the result. Lo and behold, no winner. Jackpot was going to be 1.7 million or thereabouts on the Saturday. So we decided, now's the time. Here we go.
Pull the trigger on it. Okay. Before, I'm dying to get into the documentary, and I will in just one moment. How did you come up? Like, where were you? Were you in the pub? Were you? How did the calculation come to you?
Well, it came to me about a year earlier, and it just seemed to come naturally. It was like a progression of events. So there's something wrong with the system, the lottery methodology, why they're doing this. So I approached the National Lottery about a year earlier, and I said, look, if I purchase all the combinations, minus 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, say, because it had to be a game of chance. So by eliminating one combination, it was a game of chance. So I said, right, guys, will you take £1 million by bank transfer or whatever? Give me one ticket. And they said, no, we won't. But they said, you could go and mark all the cards. So in back of my mind, I said, okay, guys, I'm going to do just that. Now, they didn't realize that that was going to be done. So that's when it started, about a year earlier.
OK, I need to talk to you about marking the cards in just a minute, because essentially, Stefan went to the Lotto, told him what he was going to do. And for anyone who's doing past maths, I'm just sitting there going, how in God's name did this happen? Ross, what a story. When did you kind of go, this is a documentary?
He was kind of strange when I was at a friend's wedding and I was sitting beside a guy and we were talking about his job and he was getting into big data. And this is like 12 or 13 years ago when nobody really talked about that kind of stuff. And I'm always on the lookout for interesting documentary ideas. And I said, is there any story in this? And he said, no. But what you should do is look back at that story when the people tried to beat the lottery. And I was like a light bulb because I just remembered the story immediately and how dramatic it was and just that you had a perfect kind of thriller here, you know, but in real life, in documentary form. Takes place over 3 days. You have a ticking clock. They're trying to do something that feels...
A heist, yeah.
A heist, basically. You know, it's a caper. It feels near impossible. Fill out 11 million numbers. You know what I mean? Like 2 million slips. Everything that they had to do logistically was insane. But, so there you are. You have all that. And then, of course, you have something like the lottery, which was so beloved at the time. And I remembered listening to it on the radio going to school. I actually remembered being in the car going to school and... just had this feeling like that there was a bit of a battle going on between the lottery and the syndicate. Of course, that was really interesting as well. So there's just everything there for a story.
It's amazing getting the syndicate involved because, you know, Stefan had written a book about beating the lotto. He'd been on Kenny Live on a Saturday night talking about this sort of a thing. So getting to the syndicate, were they like, yeah, grand to talk about this?
I think, you know, at the time what happened was like it was a media furore.
Yes.
So there was kind of like 2 or 3 days and then beyond it when they tried to figure out how they were going to get the money, the story was in the press all the time. And you know when those kind of stories are happening quickly, sometimes there's a bit of misreporting and things like that. And I think that what the syndicate were interested in doing was sort of telling the whole story in one place.
Yeah.
And it was because of that that they kind of were open to it, I think.
Stefan, the book that you had written, How to Win the Lotto, we saw it featured there. Pat Kenny laughing at you. This was before that you did the heist, the caper.
It was 2 years earlier.
Yeah, but clearly it worked. You put what you were writing in the book into practice. Did you flog many books?
Well, it was a bit ironic, really, because the whole story about the book was, after the lottery had started, we were doing a small syndicate, of which a particular guy came to me who was in it and said, look, you should put your thoughts on paper. He said, you've got something here that's marketable. And I laughed at him. I sort of thought, what the hell are you talking about? But he said, it was coming up to Christmas. So he said, put all your thoughts on paper. Come back to me after Christmas with what you've done. So I wrote all my thoughts out. It was basically algebra, substituting letters of the alphabet for numbers.
Yeah.
And I gave it to him after Christmas, pages and pages of pencil-written work, and I forgot all about it. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, the office door burst open, and this guy, I won't mention the name, walked in, big smile on his face, and he said, you have a bestseller here. And I thought it was a joke. But it was funny in a way because he purchased leftover reams of paper that printed the holiday brochures. You know, that glossy paper?
Yeah.
And Smurfits had some big reels of this left over. So he bought it for a knockdown price, and he said, look, I've got the paper.
The printing of the book is another caper.
Type everything out, which she did. Went to the printers. Smurfits, I think, printed it. And there were 72,000 copies printed. And after the Pat Kenny show, the 72,000 copies were sold out after, I think it was about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing. But you went ahead and you did this. And you, as you mentioned, there was like 2 million slips had to be organised. This went on over months. And when the Lotto realised what was happening on the Wednesday to the Sunday, because like Stefan had employed an army to go around into shops to put the tags through. Like they had to be manually put through.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Lotto started trying to shut them down.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, Stefan's one of a number of people that were involved. There's a syndicate of about 20 people, and each of them got other people to help them. And yeah, they had to go out and put them down manually. But, you know, our lottery was like the most advanced in Europe. We actually had an incredible one. You never heard of anything going wrong with the lottery. It wasn't like you'd rock up on a Saturday and suddenly there would be a problem with the lottery. Like, it was incredibly efficiently run in a country that wasn't always like that, you know what I mean? But so they could see very quickly what was happening because that was the level of technical proficiency that they had. And when they saw that, they thought, well, this isn't in the spirit of the game. and they started to fight back a little bit,
It's fascinating. The army's going in, spending money, trying to get these 2 million slips through in 4 days.
A couple of things. One, the Lotto has never been the same since, which is worth acknowledging. There's been loads of changes down through the years and loads of sort of natural progressions as they've moved on. And also, we don't want to say what actually happened. They went ahead with the plan, but we don't want to ruin it because it's worth checking out the documentary because it's a romp. It really is. It's fantastic.
The film is called Beat the Lotto. The organiser of that Lotto syndicate in Youghal for us this morning, Stefan Klinewicz. Thank you so much, Stefan, for joining us, and Ross Whitaker, who made the documentary. Thanks a million for coming in.
Thank you.